I always thought Christmas Eve was supposed to feel warm, safe, comforting. But the year my parents left me home alone at 17, it never felt colder. They were just going to my aunt's place 2 towns over. Quick visit, back before midnight. I didn't want to go because I had the flu, so they promised they'd leave early and return fast. I remember watching the snow pile up outside, thick, silent, heavy. That kind of snow that makes the whole world feel muffled. Around 9, someone knocked on the front door. Hard, slow, 3 spaced out hits. At first I thought it was my parents coming back early, until I checked my phone. They just texted me a picture of themselves at my aunt's. So whoever was knocking, it wasn't them. When I walked to the peephole, I expected emptiness. Maybe a package, maybe kids messing around. But what I saw was a man in a cheap, sagging Santa suit. He wasn't standing close to the door. He was leaning into it, pressing his ear against the wood. He whispered something I couldn't make out, and then I realized he wasn't whispering to himself. He was whispering to me. I stepped back, quietly. He didn't knock again, didn't move, didn't speak, just stayed pressed against the door, listening. I went around the house, turning off every light. After 5 minutes of silence, I checked the peephole again, but he wasn't there. I should have felt relieved, but instead, I noticed footprints in the snow. They went from the front door to the side of the house, straight to my living room window. I crouched beneath the window, holding my breath. Then, soft tapping on the glass. Fingernails. Slow. Careful. I didn't look. I couldn't. A few minutes later, I heard heavy boots crunching in the snow, going around the house, trying other windows. Finally, the footsteps faded. I hid in the bathroom until my parents came home. When they arrived, my mom screamed the second she stepped inside. Because jammed into the frame of our front door was a Polaroid photo. A picture of me, taken through the living room window, taken while I was hiding under it. There was writing on the bottom of the picture, shaky, slanted. Thanks for letting Santa listen. I used to work as a nighttime janitor at a mall during the holidays. Longest shifts of my life, most boring too. But one December night, boredom wasn't the problem. Fear was. See, every night the mall closed at 10. By 11, every employee was supposed to be out. Only security and janitors stayed behind. But that night, when I turned the corner near the big Christmas display, I saw someone still sitting on Santa's throne. A mall Santa. He was just sitting there staring straight ahead. I thought maybe one of the daytime actors fell asleep or something, so I walked closer and said, "Sir, the mall is closed." He didn't move, didn't turn, didn't even blink. Just breathed, slow, shaky breaths through the beard. I radioed security. They said every performer had clocked out hours ago. No one was left in costume. When I looked back at Santa, he was standing right behind the velvet rope, staring directly at me. I hadn't heard him move, not one step. He said, with his voice muffled through the beard, "Have you been good this year?" I stepped back. "I'm calling security." He tilted his head very slowly, like he was trying to hear something inside my skull. Then he whispered, "Not good enough." I ran. Security arrived seconds later, but when we went back, the Santa suit was gone, just the empty chair. We checked the cameras. This part haunts me more than anything. From 9 p.m. onward, the camera showed the Santa display, the empty throne, the dark mall. No one ever sat in the chair. No one ever stood behind the rope. No one was there with me. But in the last few frames, right after I ran, the Santa suit appeared on the floor, crumpled like it had melted off a person. My grandmother lived way out in the countryside, and every Christmas Eve my family visited her tiny old farmhouse. Beautiful place, but surrounded by endless snowy fields and thick darkness. No neighbors for miles, except one house directly across the field. A house we were never supposed to look at. Grandma told us it was abandoned, but she always shut the curtains on that side of the house. Always double locked the windows facing it. Always said, "Don't stare too long, they stare back." I thought it was superstition until the Christmas Eve I was 14. We arrived late, the snowstorm was blowing hard and the power flickering, cold enough that every breath felt like knives. That night, I woke up thirsty and walked to the kitchen. Grandma forgot to close the curtains. Across the snowy field, the abandoned house had one light on, soft, yellow, like someone carrying a lantern back and forth behind the upstairs window. Then the light stopped, centered itself right at the window. I swear I saw a face behind the glass, pressed right up against it. I stepped back from the curtains, and as soon as I did, the light in the other house blinked off. The next morning, my footprints were the only ones in the fresh snow, except for a long trail of prints leading from the far house to my grandmother's window. They weren't ours. They weren't human looking either. They were too long, too narrow, like someone walking on the very tips of their toes. Grandma saw them, went pale, and whispered, "They haven't crossed the field in years." That night, as we drove away, I looked back, and in that same upstairs window, the lantern light turned on again, just enough to see a shape move toward the glass. I shut my eyes and didn't open them until we were miles away.